Hello everybody out there. So for today's video, wanted to do a video on insurance. And again, I know it's not a very exciting topic, to be 100% honest. If it's the most boring thing I talk about in this series of videos, then so shall it be. But I definitely have noticed that there is a lot of people out there, in my humble opinion, young adults as well as adults, who surprisingly enough do not understand how insurance works and do not understand like the factors of like what you should be thinking about when you get insurance. I'm not talking about health insurance because I feel like that's not something that I really feel like I need to talk about, because I feel like it's pretty straightforward, and also I just don't really feel like it's something that I run into a lot where people don't understand health insurance. But a lot of these factors or principles can be applied to health insurance as well. The other thing I would say, I don't want to say this, and I've never said this before, and I always felt like when people said it, I was like, what a dope. But I'm going to say this for this video and this video alone probably, or hopefully, we'll find out. Long term, who knows? But this is not legal advice. So everything that I'm saying is my opinion and my opinion alone, and I am not representing or represented by anybody. I'm just giving you my 2 cents on what I think you should look for, and also kind of like how shit actually works and not how you think it might work necessarily. So without further ado, kind of to jump into it, my first overall thought, and this is very, very basic. And like I said, I'm not going to number like what number I'm on. I'm just going to go for it. So like right off, I was going to say number 1, but like right off the bat, I guess maybe I will number. Who knows? We're going to find out as we go. So number 1 is going to be, make sure that you understand what policy you are signing up for. So if you are getting car insurance or you are getting home insurance, make sure that you understand what your policy is and what it actually covers. So I guess that's tip number 2 within tip number 1, is make sure that you understand what your policy is actually covering. So if you, for example, have a shed or a pool, or your car, not necessarily the shed or pool, or if your car gets hit by, I don't know what, a piece of space debris and it blows up your car, are those things covered? Because if they're not, and you want them to be, then you have to either get coverage that'll do that as far as like what type of policy you're getting, or you have to add endorsements to cover those additional losses that are not normally expected. So again, if you have a pool and you don't get insurance, it's going to cover your pool or other structures such as your pool, and some crazy shit happens to your pool's not covered. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you believe. It's what's in that piece of documentation. Same thing. I know it's so crazy to say, but like just randomly space debris hits your car, or some crazy shit hits your car from the sky, falling object, is it covered? Because if it doesn't say in your policy that it's covered, or it doesn't say that it's not covered, then it's, like I said, if it doesn't say it's covered, then it's not covered. If it doesn't say that it's not covered, then it is covered. It's kind of like vice versa. All policies, so tip number 3, I guess it's not even a tip, just a thought. All policies are written with basic English. It's not supposed to be super complicated, but even with that being said, it's really confusing, and I don't care what anybody says, they're confusing on purpose. So I guess number 3 is make sure also that you're not paying for coverages that you don't need. So I can tell you right now, it's usually not going to be the same thing for homes, but a lot of times it's going to go for like your car, is that you might have insurance on things that you don't need. So for example, as crazy as it sounds, a policy that I used to have, there was a line in there where I was paying extra, so I took it out. But the line was, if I fell and tripped into my car, if I fell and tripped out of my car and hurt myself, I was going to be covered. And I kid you not, that was literally what the extra money, however much I was spending in that policy as an additional endorsement, was if I tripped and fell into my car, out of my car, or anybody else did that, I was covered. And again, that's what I'm saying, is make sure that you're aware of things that you have that you might not need to be paying for, and see if you can get them taken out, or if they're an endorsement, then you need to get it removed. So that's kind of like the back and forth of like having insurance. Like some things you need to make sure that you get it added in because you need coverage for it. Other things is you need to make sure that you get it taken out because you don't want to pay extra money for it. And that's the thing I would tell you. So I guess like number 4 is part of number 2. I like remembering the numbers, so I guess I am numbering this video. Is if you add something, so say for example, I don't know, let's say that you buy, I don't know, I keep on referring it to pool. You buy a new shed, it's really expensive and it's custom built, or you get some other items in your home, like let's say firearms or jewelry, and it's stuff that's really expensive, you might have to get a single line or mono line policy for those items. Same thing in your car. If you get like a brand new stereo system or like a crazy paint job, you need to make sure that stuff's documented and you're getting insurance to cover it. Because if it's not, then the insurer is not going to know that you have it, and more than likely when the loss occurs, they're not going to cover you for it because it is not within what they believe your limits and like what you should actually be being covered for. So those are like the quick like little like tips in there. From there, the other thing I would really say about insurance that you should be aware of is really like looking, so I guess number 5 is really looking at like what your deductibles are, which is a big one. So I guess maybe it's number 5 is like looking at what your deductible is. So if you don't know, a deductible is what you have to pay before insurance will kick in. I feel like most people should realize this, but because they have like medical insurance, but if you don't, it works the same way in cars as it does as for like your home. So this is the problem though, is when you get your homeowner's policy or a car policy, your deductible might be $500 for your car up. Your homeowner's policy, it could be $2,500 up to, I've seen a $50,000 deductible for a homeowner's insurance policy. So you need to be aware of what those are, because that's what you're paying out of your pocket before anything's covered for you, whatever percentage, whatever amount, whatever it may be. So if you have $49,999 of damage and you have a $50,000 deductible, you're not getting anything. So be aware of that, because like that can come up real quick, especially like in cars. You might get a ding or dent, or someone fender benders you, and guess what? Your deductible is $500, $700. That's going to cost them $100 to repair. You're not going to get any money for it. It's coming straight out of your own pocket. So just be aware of that as well. The next thing I would say to you is like your premium, so how much you're paying monthly. So obviously your deductible, your premiums, like those are going to be things that kind of overlap. So if you want a lower deductible, so I guess this is number 6, you're going to have, a higher premium, a higher monthly payment that you have to pay to the insurer. Now, like I said, this has like a weird like cross benefit. So what I would say to you is find a payment that you're comfortable with, but also a payment that allows you to have a low enough deductible so you're not getting hosed, like I just said, where if you have a fender bender and a scratch and it costs $499, then you get nothing if your policy is a $500 deductible, where if you would have had a $250 deductible or $200 deductible, you would actually get money back to repair the stuff that got broken. Same thing with your home. So just be aware of how those things interact. If you want to have a really low monthly payment, you can, but your deductible, how much you're going to pay out before the insurance pays you money, is going to be a lot higher. So be aware of those numbers when you're going in, because sure, maybe you say to yourself, I live in, Las Vegas, Nevada, and we never, ever, never have tornadoes here. So I don't know why it'd be on there, but just as an example. So there's a tornado endorsement on my thing. I added it in just to be safe because I'm paranoid. And you don't mess with like the deductible on it too much, because you're like, oh, $5,000 deductible, $10,000 deductible, it's probably never going to happen. My monthly payment's going to be, let's say it's $50 extra because the deductible's so high. You're going to be okay. But in reverse, if you're here in Dallas, Texas, and your monthly payment is super low, but your actual, I forget the actual terms, oh my good God. Your premium or your monthly payment is going to be super low. Let's say it's $500. That's actually really high. Let's say it's $200 a month, $300 a month for your monthly payment for your homeowner's insurance. But your deductible is $10,000 and it's for hail. That's how much it costs for you for hail. It's $200 a month, but it's a $10,000 deductible. And there's hail in Dallas all the time. It should be the other way, like it was in the first one, where like it should be the first one, but it should be the other way around, where your deductible, the money you're paying up front, is going to be a lot lower. Your monthly premium might be higher, but also it's in relation to how often or how frequent or how realistic that negative damage occurring is. And it works the same way with your car. The last thing I would really, really say is make sure that when you are signing up, like for your insurance, like ask questions. Like I feel like that was probably the best part about my experience when I first got my car insurance when I was younger, was I made sure that I asked every single question about every single thing in there, which is how I found out that there was some coverage if I fell out of my car or someone fell into my car or some crazy stuff like that that I didn't want to pay for, obviously. because I was asking, what is this, what is this, what is this? So make sure that you're asking every single like line item that you're paying for, not paying for, whatever, so that you completely understand. And I think I already kind of talked about it, but like I'm gonna say it as like an additional. So like number 7 is please, 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 just make sure that I would say once a year, because your policy is gonna come to like an end in quotations and then like restart up. Make sure that you're sitting down and taking the time to be, okay, like, do I, like I said before, have I bought a bunch of more shit that I need to like have additional like policies for, like firearms, jewelry? I don't know if you carry, if you have gold bars and stuff like that in your house, like you're too bougie, you probably don't even need insurance, but just kidding. But I'm just saying, like, adding more insurance for those things is a good idea. Adding insurance if you got another shed, if you installed this, if you have this, just making sure that you're still covered, because the last thing you want to do is assume that you have coverage for something and you actually don't, because you will get hosed. Because if you're not paying for it, then why are you going to get paid out for it if it does get damaged? And I guess one more like quick tip is ensuring that when you do have to, if you ever do have to file a claim, if you have to end up, claiming damage on your car from a hailstorm, and you have a flood damage because you live closer to the Gulf, so you had like a hurricane come, is just make sure that you are reading your policy, like you personally are reading it, making sure that you are getting covered for everything you're supposed to be getting covered for, and making sure that you're doing your due diligence, that when someone does come out and talk to you about everything that's damaged, make sure that you have your stuff written down and you're ready to go, that you're not fucking around, because the last thing you want to do is have stuff missed, because then it just makes the process take longer. So that's just like a little random side tidbit note. Again, I really don't feel like this is the most interesting or crazy video, but I really just feel like the point of stressing it was like just making sure that you're on your shit, because you're paying money to someone to give you money if something bad happens. So you need to make sure that you're paying money for the right things, enough money, enough coverage. Like, just make sure that you're on it, because the last thing I want to do is, I don't know, have someone move from fucking California, move to like Louisiana or Florida or Texas in the Gulf, and hurricane happens and they were like, oh, my insurance from back home is fine for what I have here, like nothing extra, I'm good. And they get hosed because they were not paying attention, knowing what to sign up for, knowing what to look for, and making sure that all their ducks were in a row when they got their insurance set up. So I feel like this video, of all videos, I should have questions if anyone does have questions, because I'm not getting into specific policy like verbiage. I'm not getting into anything super crazy. So if you do have questions, feel free to ask them live, or if you want to, you can message me directly. Just because at the end of the day, I feel like if you watch this, you might actually have questions that I don't end up answering live, but because maybe they're more personal or they're a little bit more like direct and you don't want to ask them in front of other people. So completely understand that. But if you do have questions, please do ask. Like I said, I do have a decent amount of knowledge and experience in this area, but like I said, I don't want to make a video it's like super like policy section A1 subsection B2. Like, this is boring. So this is what I got. Again, the name of the game for these videos and this whole Bama Jamma, something like that, whatever people say, you know what they say, is to help 100 million people in small ways and in large ways, whether it's brightening someone's day or completely changing their life. Excuse me, that's the name of the game. I don't really want to ever ask people to like or subscribe to my content. If you want to do that, it's awesome. I appreciate the support that way. But what I would do is that if you feel like this video was helpful for you, would be helpful for someone else, or if in the future, if it's a funny video, it'll just brighten someone's day, feel free to please share it with them directly, where you can literally just tag them in it, or tag them in a message on it, or you can just share it however else you can possibly share stuff, which is usually just a click on the share button. That's gonna be the best way and the fastest way for me to help 100 million people, and then hopefully be able to help even more than that. This is the point in time in the videos where if you're watching on YouTube, I do end up leaving you tier, but I do end up answering questions live on Twitch and Facebook live. So if you do ever want to ask questions live about the topic that I'm covering or anything else, feel free to come over and watch. Or if you don't want to ask live, you can always message me on any of the social media platforms, or drop it in the comments if you really want to ask a question too, and I'll make sure that I answer them. If they're a long question or like a really good, like I'm like, oh crap, I should make a video about this, I will make a video about it more than likely. I'll always ask you first, so don't feel like I'm just gonna make a video and then be like, ha, sorry I didn't ask you, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, that's all I got, guys. So for the YouTube fam out there, stay healthy, stay safe, guys. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.